Many of us are worried about the increase in alcohol duty for many products, but the government's keen to stress that its Brexit pubs guarantee that comes into force today. There's these new sort of taxes on alcohol, but the Brexit pub guarantee should mean if you're buying a pint of draft beer down your local, well, you're not going to pay any extra for it. There's going to be quite a big difference between that and what you pay in the supermarket.
Well, Roads and Local Transport Minister Richard Holden joins us now. Good morning to you, Richard. Very good to see you this morning. I mean, this is the biggest single rise in alcohol duty for 50 years. This is going to severely impact the hospitality industry, an industry that was decimated during COVID. Do you want to damage the hospitality industry?
Well, this is off the back of yet another freeze that we've had on alcohol duties, and that was from February all the way through to now. We've frozen alcohol duties for a very long period of time, and today is actually part of a really big reform, which means that actually you're not going to see the price of a pint going up in your local pub due to our new draft beer duty relief, something that we couldn't have done when we were in the European Union. That differential now between what you pay in the supermarket on terms of tax and what you pay in a pub is gone up from 5% to 9.2%. So it is a big differential, and it's a big increase in terms of that difference in tax level. Also, for a lot of products, we've had very different alcohol duties across the board for about 150 years. Again, we couldn't change those when we were in the EU, but instead what we're now going to do is have alcohol duty basically based on the percentage of alcohol in your drink. That means for a lot of products like Prosecco, for example, and canned drinks with mixers in, so a vodka and Coke or a gin and tonic in a can, actually the duty on those products will come down because we've had this really quite weird system which was very much based on individual drinks rather than on the percentage of alcohol in them. So for a lot of products, actually you're going to see a tax reduction today, which I think is really important, particularly for those new English sparkling wine producers, which is really taking off in large parts of the south of England, so that's very good for them. And also in terms of cider, that gets on an even keel with other products as well. So I think, yes, we've obviously had to take difficult decisions more broadly, but I think on the specifics, when people drill down into it, they'll see that the new system makes much more sense than the old one.
Well, the Wine and Spirit Trade Association is saying essentially you're going to see on a bottle of wine, you're going to see about an increase of around 53p when you include VAT. 44p in duty and then goes up to 53p with VAT on top. That doesn't raise a lot of money for the Treasury. It doesn't raise a lot of money for the Treasury, does it? £200 million, that's nothing. So why are you doing it? I mean, is this about preventing people or trying to put off people from drinking more than they should?
No, I mean, there's two big things here. One is to have that sensible limits so that what you're doing is actually, so for example, a bottle of Prosecco, which might be, say, 9%, will be paying up to 91p a bottle less tax. And under the old system, a bottle of Prosecco would pay the same as a fortified wine in terms of tax. And what we've done is we've said what we want to do is have lower taxes on lower alcohol products and higher and a graduated tax on higher alcohol products, because it just didn't make any sense for that to be the case. In fact, particularly for drinks that women like Prosecco predominantly, or some of those canned drinks that people liked, they were really disproportionately taxed. On the broader thing, we've also wanted to try and help pubs, particularly by ensuring that their tax levels are kept lower. So that's why we've got that differential now between the tax, the duty you pay on a can you buy from the supermarket and a duty you pay in the pub. That's a big Brexit benefit for pubs, because we can now charge a lower amount on draft than we did before, where we had to, under EU rules, have the same tax on whether it was sold in the supermarket or in a pub. So basically we're saying a very simple system in terms of you put a higher percentage, then you pay more, but on terms of pubs, we can now have that differential because we realise and we recognise, I've got a lot of pubs in my own constituency, pubs and clubs. I want them to see as many of the benefits as possible. So we're keeping their duty, despite inflation, we're keeping their duty basically at the same level as before, and it's only the other products which are going up in price, the things you get from the supermarket, in order to help our hospitality sector after what has been a pretty difficult time. My first job was in a local pub, and I really hope that sector now will see some of the benefits of this, because I want people to be out and about socialising, and if we can do that in a sensible way, then I think this is a good plan for the future.
I wanted to ask you about one of Rishi Sunak's 5 key pledges, which is to stop the boats. Many would say it's not going very well, is it? I mean, no Rwanda planes have taken off so far. The cruise ships that were meant to be used to house asylum seekers, they weren't allowed to dock. And now the Bibi Stockholm barge, getting just 50 people onto that barge, has now been delayed. How difficult is it to get 50 people onto a barge?
Well, look, we've been fighting tooth and nail in that building just behind me to try and get these immigration measures through to tighten up. We've been opposed 72 times by the Labour Party on it. We've got this court case around the Rwanda plan, which we're continuing to pursue. I'm confident that we're going to see illegal migrants taking off from the UK at some point, but we have to go through the legal processes on that.
Okay.
I want to see us do everything that we possibly can to get people out of hotels and stop coming across the channel in those small boats.
OK, Richard Holden, really good to talk to you. Thank you.